I, female 27, am due to get married to my partner, male 28, this summer. My brother Josh, 32, is refusing to come to the wedding, and I think he's being unreasonable and childish. Our wedding is going to be child-free with no kids under the age of 13-ish. The youngest guest will be around 12 to 13 years old at the time of the wedding. My partner and I don't hate children, and we had multiple reasons for having our wedding this way. Personally, I think that weddings are mostly boring, unenjoyable experiences from the point of view of small children, so it's hardly surprising that they will act up. Josh has 2 kids, kindergarten-age twins, and he's commented that we are selfish for having a child-free wedding and that if we aren't inviting his kids, he's not going. I can understand his perspective, but he's not trying to understand ours. When Josh got married 7 years ago, he and his wife also had a child-free wedding. Last weekend we attended a family party. It was someone's birthday, and some family members brought up the topic of my upcoming wedding. Josh scoffed the whole time and commented that he wouldn't know about it because he's excluded. His comments caused short, awkward silences, but no one responded to them. Later, when I was talking to Josh alone, I told him he's still invited to the wedding and whether he and his wife can go or not. Those are his options, and his making snide comments isn't going to change the plans. He said that I was alienating his children, that they would be very sad about this when they were older, and that they would love to be flower girls. I called him a hypocrite and told him to grow up, which was the end of the conversation. Our parents are now getting involved, and my dad told me that he and my stepmom will not be at the wedding if Josh isn't. I'm not close with him for unrelated reasons, and our relationship is rocky at best, so I just told him that's up to him. My mom is asking me to make an exception for Josh's kids. She said that I'm acting like a narcissist and that we all have to make compromises sometimes. Am I the idiot? Edit, he hasn't said that he regrets having a child-free wedding. He just told me that was his choice at the time and it was a long time ago. Josh and I have 5 other siblings. 3 of them had kids or babies at the time of his wedding, and some of our step-siblings also had young children, and they all got babysitters. Not the idiot. You now know what to say to him. It's your choice, and one day it'll be long ago just like his. Then refuse to discuss it further and just let him know that he has a decision to make, as do the parents. Daddy should be reminded what he's going to miss. Mention in his hearing that you will need to find someone else to walk you down the aisle and do a dance with. Josh is indeed hypocritical and is being strangely petulant and dramatic now. Your mom is also out of line and the remarks about narcissism are ridiculous. It's so sad that other family members are caving to Josh and choosing sides in a totally unnecessary way. Is Josh out to sabotage your wedding over this? Maybe he needs to hear that that's what he's doing. He's making it all about him and speaking of things that will never be forgiven. Maybe he needs to know you'll never forgive him for ruining your wedding by causing drama and getting others to boycott on his behalf, all because you're making the same choice that he made 7 years ago. Absolutely, and it's amazing that OP is being called selfish when it's actually Josh who is. He's annoyed because it's his kids that are being excluded now. He didn't care about other kids when he got married and still probably doesn't. It's classic, it's now happening to me so it matters now energy. He could get a sitter for the 3 hours of the wedding. It's not like he's not allowed to go at all. OP is right, weddings are boring for kids. If your parents refuse to go to your wedding because Josh is pouting, then they are all choosing to be no better than toddlers throwing a tantrum. It would appear that he's the favourite child because your parents are choosing him over you and your special day. I'm sorry. Refuse to discuss the issue anymore with them and hold your ground. Please don't listen to their threats. If they show up, great. If they don't, that's fine too. Congratulations on your upcoming wedding. My nearly adult male sister, 18, decided to get a pixie cut. She's had it for about 2 weeks now and she hates it. She came to me and told me that it was embarrassing that my hair was longer than hers and she wanted me to shave my head. I told her that I would not shave my head and that if she didn't like how her hair was, she should just get a wig instead. She told me she didn't have money to buy a wig, so I told her to ask our parents to get her one. She told me that she wasn't going to do that because they advised her not to cut her hair in the first place and it'd be embarrassing to admit that they were right. She then again asked me to cut my hair and I told her no. She then got mad at me and told me that no man actually cared about their hair and that if I wanted to be a girl so bad, I should just say that instead. This made me angry, so I told her that it wasn't my fault that she was a bald-headed, broke witch and if she wanted to get a wig, she should just get a job instead. She was not happy when I called her bald-headed and went to tell our parents. Our parents got mad at both of us for arguing, and then after they were done yelling at us, my dad told me that he wanted me to pay for my sister's wig. He told me that I had to pay for a wig because what I said to her was disrespectful. He said what she said was wrong, but what I said was worse. I told him that I only said that because she kept badgering me. He kept insisting that my paying for the wig was going to be my punishment and that he'd think of something for her. I told him that I'd been saving my money since I started working and I wasn't going to spend any of it on her. I told my dad that if he takes money out of my account, I wasn't going to speak to him until he puts everything back. Because knowing my sister, she's probably going to try and pick the most expensive one. My parents are upset with me because they said I'm trying to run away from accountability and that they find it unreasonable that I would try and punish them for that. I don't see why they can't pay for it themselves. It's your sister's hair that she chooses to cut and now doesn't like it. Your parents want you to buy her a wig because you told her off when she was trying to get you to shave your head. Wait? What? This is hilariously toxic. Buy her a clown wig. One each for your dad and mom, too. You are not the idiot. Anyone who says you are obviously doesn't have siblings. This is similar to arguments that I often run into with my siblings. They'll do or say something. I'll say something slightly meaner back. They'll complain to our parents, and then they'll tell me to shut up. The real idiot is your parents. By enabling your sister to do stuff like this, she'll likely continue to do so. She's obviously regretting her choice, but it's just that, her choice. Your parents' decision to make you use your own money to remedy her stupid mistake is completely detached from reality. But that's something parents do a lot. They partially listen and then decide which is the more accessible side to take. Dad probably has no idea how ridiculous he's being. He has no idea how much a decent wig costs. He's probably thinking making OP spend $20 or $30 on a wig is easier than other types of punishment. If OP showed his dad how much realistic-looking wigs cost, he might change his tune about OP paying for it. I, 30 male, am newly engaged. I've been with my now fiancée for 8 years. She's 28. We live out of state from both sides of our families. My mom and her dad live in the same city 5 hours away, so we take multiple trips a year. Over the past 4 years, my fiancée has visited my mom's place less and less. While it does make sense she visits her dad and sisters, she doesn't even stop by sometimes. My mom has started to notice, but I just make up excuses every time. I wish my fiancée would consider my family more, but given some things that have happened, I think she's emotionally washed her hands. Both of my adult siblings still live at home, one having a slight disability. My brother doesn't think before he speaks and just says anything. Telling my fiancée she's not family after 8 years is one example. He does it to everyone. His ADHD just gets the better of him. My sister and she haven't got on the best, and she also has a 4-year-old son who lives at home with my mother. My fiancée swears my sister doesn't want her around my nephew and doesn't even want her to know who she is. My mom isn't the most social person and rarely reaches out to my fiancé, but their relationship is good when they do speak. I come from a very antisocial family. I think that's one thing my fiancé isn't used to. I generally spend more time with my fiancé's family because they're the family I've always wanted but never had. Plus, it's more comfortable for both of us. I also choose to be with her side more for holidays than on my own. My fiancé has always considered us splitting holidays just so my mom doesn't get upset even though I know she won't come. It sucks after a while to keep visiting my mom's house alone when it's never that way on her side. Well, every year my fiancé's dad's side of the family books an Airbnb for a weekend for all of us to go. Last year there were 50 of us. Everyone puts in $300 or $400 to cover our meals and house along with any excursions we do. It's a really good time. My mom called and asked me if they could join us this year. They would pay for their own rooms or get a separate house close by if needed, and that my siblings also sounded interested. My mum wanted all the details. When I asked my fiancé about it, she said no. She said she wasn't comfortable with them coming along, given they barely consider her family as is. I told her that having them come out with us versus her always having to visit would help the relationship and help us bond. She kept repeating she didn't feel comfortable with that and how my family never took the time to meet her family before, so why now? Also, when they ask her to come along, she feels used. I just don't understand. I love my fiancée. She is such a family-oriented person, but I don't understand why not now. I insisted she let them come because we were getting married anyway. Isn't this part of marriage? Am I the idiot? You are the idiot. Wow. Entitled or just dense? Why are you pressing her to prioritize the family that even you admit you would rather not spend time with? You're minimizing her negative experiences while pressuring her to get over it effectively. 8 years is plenty of time to form her opinions, and you need to respect them. Nothing is keeping you from going as low contact with them as she has, or suck it up and keep going alone. They aren't stupid and they know she doesn't think highly of them. They also don't think highly of her. Stop trying to force things before you lose the family you always wanted but never had. Seriously, you're ignoring her feelings. Your family doesn't like her and just wants to use her for a free vacation. Also, what does having ADHD have to do with not considering her family? That makes no sense. I have ADHD and it can cause a lot of problems, but comments like that are not one of them. Unbelievable. She needs to cut her losses and run. I'm trying to imagine the wedding, children, holidays. Agree. Your family being antisocial or ADHD or whatever doesn't excuse the fact that they've not been welcoming to your fiancé whom you've been with for 8 years. She doesn't feel welcome. ADHD is not an excuse for being rude. She doesn't want to spend time with people who clearly aren't being kind to her in any way. Oh wait, except when they think there's a holiday on the cards. I'm totally with her. I wouldn't want them there either. Put yourself in her shoes. My dad bought a cabin before he married my mom. It became a family place for us when he married my mom and they had me. And when he wrote his will, he left the cabin to me, not my mom. My mom helps look after it, but full ownership goes to me when I, a teen male, turned 18. My dad died when I was 7 and my mom remarried when I was 10. My mom has 2 kids with her current husband, a toddler male and a young female grammar schooler. When my mom got engaged and found out she was pregnant, she asked me if I would be okay with the cabin remaining for the family and including her husband and new baby. She wanted to keep it as the family vacation spot. However, she said that if I turned around once, I owned it entirely and said I didn't want her husband and new kids to be there. She wasn't going to ruin any memories for them or cause them some heartache by bringing them knowing they would no longer be able to go in a few years. I told her I wouldn't want them to use it and wouldn't let it be used by her new family. She told me they were our family, not just hers. She saw I still didn't want to let it be for them as well, so she never took them there. Before Christmas, my mom let her sister-in-law and family stay in the cabin because they lost their house. Since then, my half-sister has been asking questions about it, wondering why she never goes there, etc. My mom told her it was mine and she looked after it for me until I was an adult and she wanted the family to be safe. So then my half-sister asked when we're all going to go, why we don't ever stay there, and how she wants to see it. My mom asked if I had changed my mind yet, and I said nope. So mom was trying to make my half-sister less upset about it, but she would ask questions once a week about the cabin and say she wanted to visit. This angered my mom's husband, who said it was ridiculous that the family owned a cabin and that they couldn't use it. He said it around me once, and I told him it's not owned by the family, it's owned by me. My mom is now blaming me, saying it put everyone in a bad position because her in-laws stayed there, but she can't bring the kids. I told her that wasn't my fault. She was the one who offered the cabin all by herself and I had no say in it. She told me it was the right thing to do, and the right thing to do now would be to accept that my family has changed and let them all enjoy the cabin. I told her I couldn't stop her for the next 2 years, but it was not going to be used once I took full control. Mom and her husband both told me that wasn't the correct way to behave. They said I made my half-sister upset by letting her aunt, uncle and cousins stay. I told Mom she let them stay, not me, and she needed to own it instead of blaming me. They were mad that it implied that I would have refused to let them stay and that I don't see how my actions are the root of the problem in everything. Am I the idiot? Who pays taxes, maintenance and upkeep for the cabin? You or your mother and stepfather? Everyone's the idiot here. You're all acting immature. Your mother should have used it while having the chance instead of allowing you to spite everyone else. If this is in the US and it's a state with property taxes, I truly hope you can afford them as soon as you turn 18. I doubt Mom and Stepdad will be willing to pay them. I'm surprised Stepdad is okay with family funds going towards it now. I don't understand why OP, Mom, Stepdad and half-siblings couldn't use the cabin each year. As long as it wasn't trashed and the stepdad and siblings were clear that it was not family-owned, I don't see why they couldn't use it together. I could see the OP putting down the rules that extended family does not get to use it. I would feel weird knowing I have a cabin and not using it with my immediate family. You are the idiot and you need to mature. You're being spiteful and selfish for no reason at all. Your father bought the cabin to make family memories, not so his child could act like a landlord. Wrong. Their father bought the cabin before he married OP's mother. OP's father left the cabin to them, not his wife. You are not the idiot. Your mom put herself in this position. I'm curious exactly what your half-sister was told about the cabin and who told her though. I know young children can hyperfixate on the most random stuff, but this seems like someone, stepdad maybe, used this opportunity to try to force your hand. Your mother needs to rein in her new husband and put him in his place. I work in a beauty supply store where we sell makeup, hair care products, etc. We got these little freckle pens in recently. When I was younger, I would always get a few freckles in the summer from playing outside in the sun all day. Now that I'm older, I try to take better care of my skin. I use sunscreen and try to limit my exposure. I miss my freckles, so I decided to try the pen. I picked out the lightest shade so they would look natural. It worked wonderfully, and now I use it almost every day. I met up with one of my friends for lunch yesterday, and she looked at me funny and asked, "Have you always had freckles?" I told her about the freckle pen, and she told me that it doesn't sit right with her soul, and that she was bullied as a child for having freckles, and now people wear them as a fashion statement. I told her that I just thought they were cute, and she said that it felt like cultural appropriation. I'm not in the wrong here. Obviously it sucks that she was bullied, but I don't think using a freckle pen is the same thing as cultural appropriation. Not the idiot. Cultural appropriation, since when are freckles culture? People need to find hobbies. It's like dyeing your hair blonde if you're not a natural blonde. I'm a redhead, and I have freckles mostly all over my body, especially in the summer. Of course it's okay for you to have fake freckles. Your friend is very immature and just weird. The "sit right in my soul" got me. The friend acted as if her saying this statement made her beliefs more important than anything else in that moment. Does she get mad when people change their hair colour? Does she get mad when people change their overall fashion style? Geez, I can't stand people like this. Do you have an opinion? Great, it doesn't have to be respected or enacted as reality. Not the idiot. Your style and makeup choices are your business.